Hello, superheroes. Kimberly Borgens. Today we're going to talk about busy isn't a business model, right? Think about that. Freedom isn't found in the hustle, it's built in the systems. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but if you think about it, look, the hustle, it goes on. It goes on. People are hustling, people are doing everything, and then something happens, and then you lose trust. And then, look, right now we're in a trust recession, right? People don't trust a lot of people because they're just there to make money. That's the hustle culture. That's what it's all about. When you create the right structures and the right things in your business, then what you do is you're creating the system for freedom. Isn't that why we got involved to become an entrepreneur to begin with? Right? We wanted that freedom. That's what it was about. But we can't have freedom if we are in constant hustle mode. Freedom comes from creating the strategies, the systems, the structures in your business that create, repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, refine, rinse and repeat, right? And so today I thought I would just share with you some things, some actual system that some systems that I have in place in my businesses that might help you out, that might share with you some things that will grow your business and get you out of the hustle mindset and more back into that freedom mindset that you originally wanted to get in. Like freedom in business isn't about that hustle, right? Let's say, freedom isn't how hard, it's not how hard you work. I just want to point out there, the hustle culture is all about let's get to work, let's get to work, let's hustle, hustle, hustle. But it doesn't work for a lot of people. There's only so much hustle people can do before they burn out, before people like go, okay, okay, and then there's a crash. And then suddenly that person that was hustling over here suddenly changes to a new hustle, right? There's a constant change, and that's fine. It's just not where freedom lies. Freedom isn't in how hard you work, it's how well that you work your business and how well your business works without you. So I'm glad that you're back here for Superheroes and Heels. Like, I'm working to help build powerful women who build powerful businesses. I mean, that's the reality of it. I want to fiercely empower you to step into your role, whatever that is, whether you're an entrepreneur, an operator, CEO, whatever your role is, whatever role you want to step into this week, right? And so I want to have that real life conversation with you because some of you didn't build businesses, right? What you did is you built demanding jobs. And there's nothing wrong with that, but let's be real, okay? And I say that with all love and respect and also experience because I too have worked the 90-hour weeks, right? I too have worked the 16-hour days and things like that. I get it. I understand it. I've been there, done that, and refined that, become an expert in it, which I don't want to be. What I want to do is teach you or share with you how you can get out of that 90-hour week or 60-hour week or whatever that is for you, right? And step into something that's a little more manageable, more has more freedom to it, right? Motivation is great, and I know I throw out there all the time that motivation, for you to remind you that you need to get going. But when you're tired, when life is, hard and you're feeling in over your head, when your kids get sick and your team drops the ball, you don't feel like showing up, motivation doesn't show up either, right? And I just really want you to know that motivation is inconsistent, right? But let me tell you what is consistent. Systems. Systems are dependable. I remember my daughter was in high school and she and I were planning the weekend. We were so excited. We were going to go see a Carrie Underwood concert. She was so excited for that. She wanted to do that. We had backstage passes, all of the VIP experience, all of that was happening. And she got sick. And she got sick to where we ended up in the emergency room and she spent the night in the hospital on the same day that she was supposed to go to a concert. This concert she had been like so excited for. But here's the other part is I was busy working hard in my business. And I didn't have time to go to the hospital all day with my daughter, run a business, right? Go to a concert that night, that kind of stuff. I didn't, that most people, it's either one or the other. In my case, I was blessed because I already had my systems in place. I got a hold of my assistant at the office. I said, "Hey, I'm not going to make it in. Here's the appointments that I have for today. I need you to call these clients, let them, reschedule appointments with them because I'm going to spend time with my daughter who is sick." And she said, "Okay, no problem. I have a binder." I told her right where the binder was. She pulled it out. My binder had my passwords. It had the stuff that was needed for her to be able to get into those client calls, make sure the information was conveyed, cancel those appointments, reschedule them because she had access to my calendar because we had systems and structures in place. Motivation wasn't going to help me that day. I can tell you that much. It didn't help my daughter. It didn't help anybody, but the structure and the system did. We were able to reschedule the clients for the day. We were able to, have everything in place, not get people upset because I didn't show up. Right. And I was able to spend all day with my daughter. In the evening time, the time of the concert, her grandma came and hung out with her. And I took my husband with me to the VIP concert because my daughter's like, "Go, mom, go." And she got to spend time with her grandma. And my husband and I went and did the VIP experience. And though my daughter didn't get to see Carrie Underwood, my husband and I did. We had a great time. Then we went back and I got to share pictures and share the story with my daughter. And I share that because when our kids get sick, we're going to drop everything, ladies. That's just what our priority is, right? That's our superpower. It really is. But motivation wasn't going to help me, but the system did. It helped us create a seamlessly uninterrupted, unscheduled event. We rescheduled everybody. We got that taken care of. And that's the best thing. And a lot of times what happens if you don't have those things in place, you hear things like, you know, she doesn't show up. She has a discipline problem. She does, no, she doesn't have a discipline problem. She has a systems problem. Okay. She didn't have the systems in place to make sure that those things happen while she was doing what was necessary. Right? If your business only works when you are the one in it, you don't have leverage, you have dependency. And dependency, guess what? It's going to drain you. It's going to drain the life out of you. So I'm just real on this when it comes to systems. Last week, I on the podcast, I talked about, are you an entrepreneur? Are you an operations person, operator, or are you the CEO? Is you have to decide what that is, and then you have to define that space, right? So today I'm talking about how do you define that space as an operator and as the CEO, you have to have systems in place. As the visionary, as the entrepreneur, you create the vision, but these things have to get put into place so that it can run smoothly, so you can create more and more vision, so you can be excited and passionate about as the entrepreneur. So I really wanted to simplify that for you today and talk about, some core systems that every business needs, right? And those are just, these are just some simple ones. So the first one I'm going to talk about is lead generation system. You have to find people that you can sell to, grow a business. In the security business, right? We have lead generations, we have safety tools, we have, client evaluations. We also have, you can get, I'm forgetting the name of it right this second. It'll come right back to me here. We go out, we look at your property, we assessment, we do a property assessment. So we assess your property and we figure out like what help you need, where are some problems that you might need, security support, things like that, right? So there's different lead generation things that we do is how can we help people find you consistently, right? There's marketing, there's content that you do, there's outreach. For example, for our security business, we have weekly emails that go out. We also are in a magazine and we're sharing how to create safe communities. We're doing outreach with different, nonprofits. We have a couple of parks that we donate our time, and our security officers on patrol will go and double check those parks at night to make sure there's nothing nefarious happening within those parks during the times that we're there. So we're doing some community outreach. If the leads stop, then when you personally stop posting, you don't have a system, you just have activity that you do. So it's got to be something that's on a rinse and repeat, that's on autopilot. I myself, I have podcasts. I also have, what are those things called? My brain's getting a little fried today, I guess. I have blogs, I have podcasts, I'm doing video pieces, right? We put out content. I have a newsletter that goes out. I'm in a magazine, on a local magazine on a regular basis. I go out and I go speaking. These are all lead generation systems that I have in place that do the marketing, the content, and the outreach. So, that's the first system that you want to put into place. Is you can't, if you have a salesperson, that would come in next. But you have to have those things on how people can find you consistently, whether it's social media, getting out into your community, going out and speaking, those kinds of things. So what are your lead generation system? And have a real system, like break it down. What are the things that you do in each of those things? What do I do for marketing? What do I do for content? What do I do for outreach? Okay. And I don't do it all. Look, I have an amazing marketing gal. Maybe you've seen some of the videos that we've put out. We use the podcast here to create some little snippets. I have it on, it goes on to YouTube. We do email marketing, and I have a gal who I speak to every single week, and we go over what the plan is. This, and this. We have a system in place. If I am sick, if I am not feeling well, if I'm out of the country, she's still managing it. She's still throwing it out there because I've prepared in advance. That's what a system is about. How about your sales system? How people can pay you, how people become the paying clients. Do you have scripts? Do you have follow-up system? Do you have a system for handling objections? This is part of your sales system. Do you have a person who is part of your sales team who's making the calls for you, going out and talking to people, doing cold calling, visiting, things like that? Look, CEOs, we don't wing it. We measure it. Okay. We are not here to wing it. We got to measure the success. And so what is your sales system? What are the scripts that you have? Do you have a script? And you don't have to look, I'm telling you that these things are in place. I'm not telling you that you have to follow them word by word. You create a script. You practice that script a few times with people, then it starts to become a habit every time you talk to somebody. You change it up a little bit based on who the person is, what they're looking for, things like that. I'm not saying you build something that you stick so rigid with it that you can't, function as a human being. You create a script so it becomes a consistency that even if you're not there, my assistant could do the script, right? She might not get the sale, but she could do the script, right? She could do the follow-up because I have a follow-up script. I have a follow-up system in place. She can walk through that. I don't have to be the only one to do it. Just like you, if something happens, can you ask somebody else to do it for you? If you can't, then that's you, right? The third operations or system structure that you want to put in place is your onboarding system. How are clients welcomed and how are they set up? Do you send out welcome emails? Do you do intake forms? Do you have expectations from both sides? Right? Their first impression shouldn't depend on your mood that day. Okay? It really shouldn't. For us, like new onboarding, I would say in the security business, our clients, we get a new client in the security industry, then we have them complete an information sheet. That goes to our operations. Operations puts that data into the computer software. That same software, right? They put in the client name, their address, email, phone number, standard CRM stuff, right? And then it gets broken down into what kind of job did they hire us for, right? Or did they hire us for a standing officer where, maybe 1 or 10 security officers walk around their property, make sure that there's no trespassers, no issues, nothing with the fence line, They might check in employees, check in the truck drivers. They might check in visitors on a property. They might be looking out for human trafficking, these kinds of things. So it could be a standing officer, and those officers take photos of the property, the situations of the property. So did they hire us for that standing officer? Or maybe they hired us for an officer with a vehicle on that client's property, right? Where we provide a marked vehicle that has, our company logo, phone number, and all that information on it. And then we have a driver for that. And that driver goes around and checks all the doors on the property, checks the fence lines, looking for trespassers, all of the same things that a foot patrol person does. They're just doing it with a car on that one property. We also have a patrol service where we have multiple patrol vehicles that go out and check different properties per night. And so they go out multiple times to all kinds of different clients, and they make these rounds and they check the property, they remove trespassers, they notify the clients if anything got broken into or there was an attempt, they notify of any damage, so on and so forth. So that's where we're figuring out, like, how did they hire us and what did they hire us for? And then that file goes to our scheduler, and that scheduler will pick the right employee to manage that location, right? Some people are very public people and they thrive in public spaces, while some people are not so public. They're much more private and they thrive better as a security officer in a non-public location. So that scheduler has to fit the right person in with that new client. It's part of the system. Then after they're complete and they've scheduled the person based on what the client needed, the times that they've asked for, all of those things, it goes into finance. And finance makes sure that the invoice rate is accurate for both, invoicing the client, and then the pay rate is correct for the employee getting paid out there. They make sure that all that stuff is there. They make sure the emails are correct so they can send the invoices out correctly to them, how they're going to be paying. Either they're paying by check, credit card, or ACH, which is, directly from the bank. Is it weekly? Is it monthly? Right? How is that set up? And all of that gets set up in finance. This is a system to make it all work in our security business. So think about, for you, what is a system that you have for bringing in a new client? I know I rambled through a lot right there, but think about it. As a business coach consultant, it's a much simpler system, right? What I do is I get a new client, great. Then I send them an invoice. They pay that invoice. I then book the sessions. When I book the sessions, that information goes into the CRM. They're added to the Hive Hangout or the Hive Society. They go into the campaigns for all of the content, the blogs, the videos, things like that. And then I execute the sessions weekly or whatever the schedule is that we set. Very simple, right? Either way, I have a repeatable system. Okay, for sales, I have this onboarding system, and it's regular and it's repeatable, and I can do it all the time. Anybody could do it all the time because the system is in place. The fourth system that I would say would be your service delivery system, right? How is it that the work actually gets done? Right? Do you have SOPs, right? Standing operating procedures. We have what we call playbooks, right? They're part of our SOPs, right? Is your team, are they hands off on them or are they hands on? Right? What are the processes? Right? How are you delivering that system? So for us in the security business, for example, we're delivering the system by, remember I said they're either a person who's out at their location, it's a person in a vehicle out at their location, or a vehicle that goes around and checks in on their location but doesn't stay there all night, right? So that's the delivery system. How are we delivering it? What are our checks and balances? All of our employees check in every 15 minutes. Why? Because they're out in the field, out in the middle of the night. I want to make sure my team is kept safe, but also how they're checking in is they're taking a picture of the property, a piece of the property. This looks good during this time, or we have a hole in the fence over here. This needs to get taken care of, right? What are the processes? How are you delivering that system? This is where a lot of time the bottlenecking shows up. right? We're not getting the delivery system out there. In your coaching, consulting businesses, in your service businesses, like, are you getting it out at a timely manner? Are you getting your stuff done? Like recently, I said I skipped a podcast, an episode 60, 63 or something like that, after doing a weekly session for 63, 62 weeks. One was delayed, right? And that was very frustrating to me because I'm very punctual and I run my businesses intentionally. So that's where the bottlenecking, because you see, the podcast is me, right? It's not my team, it's me. And so I was the bottleneck in that situation. So, are you being a bottleneck in your delivery system? And the fifth one that I was talking about is your operations system. How is your business running, internally? How is the scheduling? Are you scheduling clients? Are you scheduling employees? Are you scheduling yourself in such a way that it is a system? Right? My team knows, for example, on Thursdays, I don't get into the office before noon. Why? Because I'm on calls from my home office. I'll do a podcast in there, catch up on some things. Thursday is my day, but they do know I'm there every Friday morning, and we're working on making sure our systems, all of our stuff is done because we process our invoices that day, and everything in my book has to be, accurate. So we go through, this employee, did this cover, did this get updated correctly? Is this what the client was delivered? Making sure everything, all the pieces fit together well. That's our Friday, and that's our busy money day. Okay. When I go home on Friday, I want those invoices out. I want the money flowing, right? And so I know that the client comes in Monday morning and they have their invoices from us. They're ready to start their week paying us, right? Like, that's important. So what does your operating system look like? What are you communicating with people? How's your communications? Do you have a system for communications? You see, in this, look, I'm a systems person. All right. I have refined that throughout the years. 30 years ago, if you had asked me that, I would have said, no way. Okay. But I have refined it. I have built it. I have created the structures. I have created the systems, and then the reporting, which is, our invoicing, which is the new schedules, like, we're communicating everything. Look, when you can have a good operating system in place, it's the difference between organized chaos and actual leadership. I don't want organized chaos. I don't like organized chaos. I don't want to, you don't ever want to hear me say, not my circus. Okay. Because it is, it is my circus. And I do not want my circus to be chaotic, right? I want to have leadership. I want my team to lead. That's what I hired them for. And if it's chaotic, that means they're not doing their structures and systems in place. And I have to step in and go, hey, what's going on? If it happens more than once, it needs to be a system. I know it sounds terrible for some people. Look, it doesn't have to be a hard system. I'm not trying to make you an analytical person. I am not. You don't have to be. And look, you don't even have to write the system. Okay. You can get somebody else to write the system for you. In this day and age, you can have AI write the system for you. All you have to do is tell it, look, this is what I do each day. Create the SOP, create the system, create the structure, create the scripts. I mean, it doesn't have to be hard work now. Heck, when I first did it, I was writing all this stuff. I was recording it. I was transcribing it, right? Because we didn't have the structures that we remember. I'm pre-Google, pre all this, AI stuff, right? So many people put all their stuff out on the internet, and you get the grace of being able to utilize it. So I don't want to hear excuses that you're not a system person. You need to be a system person as a business owner. Doesn't mean you have to write the system. It just means you need to manage it, make sure that things are happening in order so that you don't miss something, so that you don't forget to invoice a client, so that you don't forget to, give them the customer service that they deserve from you. Then you delegate it out, right? You document everything, you delegate it out. Look, people say, nobody, I don't want to delegate it because people, it's faster if I do it. All the excuses, I wrote a book on it. Okay. Seriously, you can get it on Amazon, right? 50 things that you can delegate, from solo to CEO, right? Like seriously, there's a book on it. You can get it on my website. All right. Belegacy.com. You can go there and get it from there. It's all about delegating. What did you delegate, right? Uh, Sometimes what happens is people don't delegate, they don't want to do it, and it doesn't get done. And then it comes back to bite you in the rear, right? If you delegate, you want to document it. Why? Because if you don't, then really it's abdication. You're giving it up to somebody else to do, and then you don't take any ownership in it, right? When I delegate, I follow up with an email. Hey, this is what I've asked you to do. Or can you please let me know when can you have it done by this date, or let me know when you can have it done by, right? Your team is not failing you when you clarify, when you communicate, right? So if you don't want to communicate, if you don't have the systems and structures in place, it's really hard to delegate, right? Because that's when it's easier for you to do it by yourself, only because you never put the system and structure in place for somebody else to do it. I'm sorry if that sounds a little harsh, but that's just the reality. And, I just want you to know you can create documentation. It doesn't have to be fancy. It can be really simple, step by step checklist, right? A video walkthrough in this day and age, it is so easy to do a video walkthrough, a voice note instruction. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be repeatable, right? It's not that you need better people, you need better instructions, right? If you instruct people, if you share with them, if you give them the scripts, if you give them the notes, if you give them all the information, then they don't have to worry about whether they did it your way or not, because it's in the system. And then automate everything, right? You have to take those leads, you have to automate it, not because everything should be automated, but because most things should be automated in this day and age. The scheduling, the reminders, the follow-ups, invoicing, anything that can be repeated, right? That's repetitive, you can automate it in this day and age. There's no excuses for you not to have these systems and structures in place, ladies and gentlemen. All right? You have to lead. You have to lead the culture of your company. You have to lead your clients' relationships. You have to lead your own personal decision making and your vision, right? Anything that's relational, that's what you need to stay connected to. That's what the parts that you want to hold on to tight. The other stuff, let it go, let somebody else do it. Just have the systems in place. Automate the tasks. You don't automate the trust, right? You want to scale, but you don't want all the chaos, right? You want more clients, but you don't want to improve the delivery, right? You grew fast, but now you think you're supposed to like lead the same way. It doesn't work that way. And then what happens is you get overwhelmed. There's just so much going on. It gets frustrating. And that's when, ladies, that's when you burn out. That's when you've had enough. And that's when you disappear off of social for a month. And you feel a lot better when you come back because you let go of the stress and stuff didn't get done. You probably didn't make any money either. Right? And look, it's not all about money, it's the impact that you make. But that money can be used to make more impact. I want to make a greater impact on safety and security. I want to keep women safe in business and in life. I get to make money while doing that so that I can give to more nonprofits that are expanding beyond what I can do. I want to attend those events and those galas that support. I want to auction on those items that put more money into the nonprofit to help all those people. Money is just a tool that I use so that I can get that impact that I'm looking for. So think about the impact that you want to make, that you're trying to make in your business. Growth without systems creates chaos, and systems turn growth into scale. Look, when it comes to safety and security, like there's no room for we'll figure it out. There isn't. There's, hey, we got to do this. We have to take care of this. This needs to get handled right now because people's lives matter. The safety of the people around us matters. Dispatch has to run that whether I'm there or not. And if they're not there, I'm there because it still has to run to make sure that my team out in the field is supported, that they have somebody that they can call when they're feeling stressed and they're feeling frustrated and when they're feeling alone out in the middle of the night in the dark. My team they know that sometimes there's certain employees that they just need to talk to for 5-10 minutes on the phone just to make sure they're okay, check in with them. They just need to talk, rant for a minute. And my team is prepared for that because we have a system in place. We've created the structure so that my team out in the field has somebody on their side. Look, our dispatchers follow scripts, not to the word. They get into the habit of it. They report every incident. They have a incident reporting process, right? They manage the schedule, especially when our scheduler is not there, right? Especially in the evenings and weekends. Our schedule is not personality based, right? It's based on what our client needs, what our employees have to offer. They're skilled in escalation, right? We document the who, what, when, where, how, why, and which. They're also there for covering shifts, right? Without panic, without chaos, because they go, okay, here's what we have to do. We have to see availability, which we have that set up, and who can work certain times, that's set up, right? And who can't work during these times, who can I call, who can I text, who are the people that are reliable that will show up anytime you call them and say, hey, I have an extra shift, right? They have this system in place so they don't have to panic, right? That means if I step away, it still runs. If someone calls off, it's still covered. If something happens, there's already a process, right? They know when a vehicle broke down this last week, guess what? They called the tow company. Okay. That's not luck, ladies. That's leadership. That's setting the systems and the structures in place and owning it. So if your business can't function without you, it's not built, it's dependent. It's like a child who needs you. Your business shouldn't have to need you. It wants you to vision it. It wants you to design it. It wants you to make it bigger and scale it. It doesn't want to be your dependent. So, all right. Choose something this week that you do repeatedly and build a simple system for it. Go to AI, do it yourself. I don't care, but create it. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be documented because clarity creates that freedom. If you do this, if you take time out one day a week to create or work on a system, create or work on a structure in your business, down the line, pretty soon, you'll be able to hire somebody and you won't have to feel overwhelmed by trying to train them because you have your training. Everything that you need to be trained will be in these systems and structures. And when you do that this week, when you create that, come on over to the Hive Hangout, drop it inside. Tell me what system you built. I'd be happy to respond, be excited, cheer with you. Tell me where you're stuck. Because really, this is what separates busy women to scalable women. Right? Come on over. So I just want to leave you with this. You don't need to work harder. You don't. You just need to build smarter. Because truthfully, ladies, the goal is not to be the hardest working woman in the room. Look, I could win that hands down some weeks. Okay? That's not the goal. It's to be the one whose businesses work even when she's not working. Freedom isn't in the hustle, it's in the system. Thanks so much for joining me here in Superheroes and Heels. Be blessed, ladies. Have a great day.